The year 2024 is shaping up to be quite the one for Zendaya, as we have now two films released which were previously scheduled for 2023 with Dune Part 2 and now Challengers. The former ended up being a smash hit for audiences, but can she go 2 for 2 because this film is not a massive blockbuster, but instead it's a romance film involving a love triangle with the backdrop being the world of tennis. The film is set up in a way where we jump straight into this tennis match between two of our main characters. We can see that there's a lot of emotion on show, we can see that there's some underlying drama happening here, and that's where the film then takes us on that journey into the past to find out exactly what's happened between these characters to make this match so tense and so fueled with rivalry. So if you imagine a spider diagram, this match is in the middle, and then we have all these different strands going off to different time periods. So one was like 14 years ago, and then another will be only the night before the match. And so we're constantly going back and forth, which does make sense as this is a tennis film. And just on tennis, when we get to that action, it's some of the best tennis I think I've ever seen in a film. We get all these different POVs, we get, like a ball cam, we get it from the net, we get it from the serves, we really get really into the match, and you feel the impact of every single hit.
Get ready for the serve!
Get him off! Get him off!
Going into this film, I wasn't sure whether it was based on a true story or not. It's not based on a true story, but with how well these characters are brought to life, you can really believe that it is. And that's to the film's credit, and also to the credit of the actors Zendaya, Josh O'Connor and Mike Feist. I gotta say, it's great to see Mike Feist again because I thought he was a real standout in Spielberg's West Side Story. And I think with how him and Josh O'Connor work together in this film, you can really believe the rivalry as we go on throughout the movie. A pivotal moment for this love triangle comes in the past, where we see our two male leads go after Tashi Duncan, who is the character Zendaya plays, and it does lead them to having a tad bit of a threesome. It's nothing too graphic, it is mainly just some making out, but this is where everything starts to begin when it comes to Tashi going with each of the different men, and where it leads us up to into the present day. The steamy scenes don't stop there though, as there are a few more scattered within the film between the different pairings, but it is worth mentioning that there's nothing too graphic here. I think the most graphic thing is at one point we do see some nudity in a male changing room, but that is pretty much it. Otherwise, it is more just sort of people in the underwear doing really long makeout sessions. As we jump around so many different time periods in the film, you'll be forgiven if you do find yourself lost a bit here and there, but the movie does make an effort to be true to those times, and there will be little hints there if you do need them, like within the music or within the technology. Like one time, a character will be using a BlackBerry phone, the next time they'll be scrolling through Tinder. Now, I must say, with this film, I never fully got engrossed with this drama. There were moments where I got more invested than others. I think those moments in particular were heightened because of how realistic they were, and a lot of that comes down to how good the script was. So although there are a lot of great things in Challenger's favour, whether that be the script, the acting, the direction by Luca Guadagnino, who I must say seems to have a good eye for a romance film and how to tell that romance, but what happened here is the film just went on too long. It went on so long where I started not to care about these people and this relationship between the three of them, where I'm like, I'm ready to go now. So by the time we got to the last scene within the film where it's all very tense, it's firstly, it uses way too much slow-mo, and I'm like, oh, come on, hurry up and get to the point. But also, I was like, I'm already checked out because this film is 2 hours and 10 minutes when it didn't need to be. And that was a real shame because you could tell there was a hope there for audiences to be gripped into this culmination of the drama. But because of how this film has set itself about, with it being so wide open, going to so many different points in time, having all these different conversations with these three characters who aren't necessarily very likable, but that doesn't matter because you're interested in how everything unfolds. And I was like, that's fine, I'm happy to take the long route here for this story, but now we've got to the point where it's going into conclusion, it's narrowing itself down, and it goes for the slow-mo action scenes to make it draw out even longer, and that then crossed that line into being self-indulgent. So much so that I think I'd rather just watch a game of Wii Tennis. Something else I want to mention is the score here is by Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor, and I've liked their scores a lot in the past, and here I do as well, but there was a bit of an issue sometimes when we had our characters arguing, having these conflicts where this techno music would come into it, and it would be a bit too overpowering, where you can't even hear the dialogue as well as you want to, so that was a bit of an issue. But at the same time, I think a lot of the score did work for other scenes, especially during those sadder moments where we had this melancholy piano playing, which I thought worked really well. But overall, with Challengers, I think it's a film that succeeds in many different areas. I really did, enjoy seeing how these characters were using each other as we go along, but at the same time, it hasn't really left a lasting impression on me. I don't ever want to watch the film again, and with how it was structured, it did make it really difficult for me to connect with the film, and so it is also a really difficult one for me now to recommend. It's a film that works its best in those big moments, like seeing how someone gets injured, seeing these intimate conversations, but everything in between is that glue, and so it's not an amazing film, but it's perfectly fine. And one thing I can say for this film is that it's really made me want to go and have a threesome. It's really made me want to play a game of tennis. So what are your thoughts on Challengers? Did it serve up a sexy ton for you, or were you thinking, I want to smack my racket because this is bloody crap? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to watch another review on Serena or a couple I prepared earlier.